10 p.m. with Galinsky, and I'm so excited. I am with Lynn Shaye, brilliant actress and wonderful person.
Did you see how you lit up when you said that? The lighting got really good when he talked about that.
Well, you know, that's what you do to the world.
Made my day.
Good. So we're a little early, everybody. It's a minute before showtime, but we've already got people coming into the chat room. Turko Ono's here, and Kaylin Dolman's here. Yeah, you can say hi.
Hi, everybody.
So we're gonna, Lynn and I are just gonna gab for a minute. I maybe do some housekeeping notes, and then we'll get into what we want to do. I might as well tell you who I have scheduled for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, gonna read some children's books, and it sounds ridiculous, but it's been a lot of fun.
I would love to read a children's book, by the way, on your show.
Okay, good. You know, let's do it. We're gonna do tomorrow
The Hungry Caterpillar,
and then we're gonna do George Shrinks.
Awesome.
And this one, which is an amazing book and my fave, Zoom. Have you ever seen this?
That one I don't know.
Zoom is incredible. I'm going to give you a teaser. Zoom has no words. Zoom starts off like that, right?
So it's color and pictures.
And then it pulls back.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's great.
Back further. And the whole book
keeps getting further and further back.
It's incredible.
That's great. I found this book that had no pictures. It's a beginner's book, but it's all about, there's no pictures in this book, and it's all about letters and stuff. I'd given it to someone as a baby gift, but it's interesting. I mean, both ways, to have no words or to have only words, you know, when you're trying to learn ideas and creatively be stimulated. I think both are you know, valid. But that's beautiful. That looks beautiful.
Tomorrow night. And then Friday night, it's Billy Hayes, the man that the movie A Midnight Express is based on. But right now, let's pretend we're starting the show from the top. Okay. So what I'll do is hit play, and then we'll go, because now the small talk is done.
Smooth down my...
It's 10 p.m. with Galinsky, and I'm excited. I've got a great guest tonight. She's the standout star of so many over 90 films and television shows. Insidious, lately on the plate. Penny Dreadful on the plate. I know that my friends all totally gas on her from her appearances in Something About Mary and Kingpin, two stellar, amazing, quirky character moments. Welcome to the show, Lynn Shaye.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody.
Good to have you.
I'm wearing my toilet paper earrings.
Yeah, that's great. Did you get those before this whole thing, or
no? I got them as it started.
Well, we've got some regulars in the chat. James Turcott, actually Turko Ono. Kevin's here. Priscilla's here. Elizabeth's here. Lori Davis is here. So welcome. Let me, I want to, usual question that gets asked of somebody of your status. You're a working actress in Hollywood. You've been working for a long time. What was your first break? I'm going to ask you what was your first moment when you realized you wanted to be in this business later. But right now, what was the first break? What was the first gig that you did where you were like, oh my God, you're turning a corner here?
I think it was, you know, that's actually a hard question for me. I mean, I did a lot of theater when I lived in New York. Excuse me, I have a little frog landed in my throat. I did a lot of theater, but I professionally, I did a lot of equity waivers, what it's called, where you have a 6-week run, no pay, but nobody cared because you were in a play and you were telling a story and you were in New York at one of their off Broadway wonderful theaters. So for me, that was just being hired was a treat always, because I guess I'm a storyteller at heart. So there was not really, and to me, it was all professional. So whether I was being paid or not didn't matter. So I guess the first play I remember, oh my gosh, I went to school at Columbia. I'm sorry.
That started out in New York then.
Yeah, I lived in New York. I was in New York for, I went to Columbia University. Um, I have a master's actually in theater from Columbia University. I went to University of Michigan undergrad, but I was an art history major, but always did plays. But when I was in New York working in school at Columbia, Playwrights Horizons was a very big part of my life at that point. We used to do just readings of new plays, and we would do these 6-week equity waiver runs. And so there was not really one particular production. It was immersing. Suddenly, I was a New York actress working in theater. So that for me was like heaven.
People in the chat room, be aware, we're taking your questions as well. So Priscilla, Elizabeth, Lori, Zulima, welcome. Franco, welcome. Stephanie, Winnie, Francie, great to see you. John Trefero, Jack, awesome. Colin. So feel free to ask any question you might have. I'm going to surprise Lynn with a couple of pictures here that I off of the internet. And we're going to jump off with a couple of photos. This is the first one. So
that was beautiful, Lynn, is what that was. That's one of the best pictures ever taken of me.
And again, how old were you here?
32.
You look like you're 17. And you even now you look a lot younger than what your age is listed on the internet. Let's say that.
Right.
Right.
You know, age really is a number. I mean, it's a number you like to keep on the low end as long as possible, but that's not really true either. I mean, I think we're programmed to think, you know, that there's something negative about age, and it's all part of the process. I mean, what's negative is not having the process and, you know, checking out way too young. I am proud to be where I'm at, and I honestly was never programmed by my family to worry about age. It was all about, if you love something, do it. If you love something and you want to do it, try to do it, and just keep trying till you do it. Yeah. So, but that particular, when I look at older pictures of myself, it's shocking in a way and sort of beautiful in a way too, because that's just what happens. You know, we're made of tissue paper, guys.
Yeah.
And it's okay, you know, crumble it up, it's still good. you can uncrumble it, and there it is. It's got all these wrinkles, but it's still you. So what the hell?
Priscilla in the chat says, still beautiful. Joel is in the room. Nice to see you, Joel, aka Zero Boy. Jamie's in the room. Zulima has a question. Zulima's an actress, and she's just kind of getting herself started. She said before the 6-week thing you were doing and the cycle you got into in New York, before that, were you doing anything with acting? So I guess as a kid, were you ever interested in it? Were you doing anything around that?
I realize I have always been a storyteller, and that sort of comes from my mom and dad. My father used to tell me what we called Candyland stories before I went to sleep. These beautiful, fanciful stories of a little girl named Linda who would hear a tap tap on her window when she was going to bed, and a little silver rocking horse would come and whisk her away to Candyland. I mean, my father had a very whimsical and wonderful imagination. And there were not a lot of kids in my neighborhood when I was growing up. And I used to spend hours in my room by myself with my stuffed animals and my dolls, and take all my clothes out of my closet, and much to my mother's panic. And I would make up plays. And I mean, I didn't know what that was. I knew I was telling stories, and they were like serials, because I remember I would finish and then my mother would tell me to clean up all my clothes. And so I would put everything back, and then the next day I would start where I left off. So I was sort of an episodic, storyteller at the age of like 7. I mean, I was little. So I always, and then in school, I always wanted to be in the plays. And not because I wanted to be an actress. It had nothing to do with it. I wanted to tell a story. So it was never wanting a profession or to be called anything. It was just wanting to express ideas through my imagination.
You were one of the pioneers of Quibi, it sounds like.
I don't know. I don't even know what Quibi is, but okay.
Don't worry, it's rated G. John in the chat room says, greatness is ageless. Agreed. Katha Cato's in the house. Sharice is in the house. Diane Lieb's in the house. Welcome. Dana, welcome. So let's look at another photograph and use that again as a starting point for a little bit of conversation. So there you are as a little kid at 30 something. Tell us about this one. What's the show and what's going on?
That is from Insidious, and it was from the fourth Insidious. And that is the woman who plays the mother. It's a long story. You have to see the movie to really understand the whole story. But we are entering what was called the Further, which was a fictitious place made up by James Wan and Lee Winnell, that had rules to it more or less, but it was a place where the demons lived. It was not a place you wanted to really go hang out. And as you can see by the look on our faces, we aren't real happy to be going there. We're full of trepidation, fear, and a lot of wind. That's a hairdo I would like to not repeat, except back in the Further.
There you are in your current glory.
That's a lovely headshot that was, oh, I wish I could give credit to the photographer, and right now I'm just blanking on his name. Came over to my house. Oh, that's from The Grudge. That was not from that photographer. That's Faith Matheson, who is having a very bad day, and it's a terrific film, you guys. It's a very scary modern day horror film. It's not a remake of The Grudge. It's really about real pain, passion, and really scary ideas. It's a very grown-up horror film, is what I call it. So I'm proud to be a part of it.
A lot of your work is in the horror genre and is in that scary, bizarre place. Is it somewhere that you thought consciously you would go with what you're exploring as an actor, or did it just start to evolve? One gig led to another and to another, and now you've become what they call, the scream queen.
It totally evolved. I mean, again, my focus has always been to tell a good story, and my very first, I mean, it kind of goes back. I'm going to talk a little, but my big brother Bob Shaye started a company called New Line Cinema in 1968, probably before most of you were born. And Bob's first film, or really, well, not the very first film, but Wes Craven came to Bob with Nightmare on Elm Street, which I guess he had tried to get done all around town, so to speak. And Bob said, "Put my sister in your movie." I mean, and then Bob pretended he didn't, which was very typical of brother-sister relationship, like, get your own job. But here he was behind my back helping me in a big way. So I got to play the teacher. And that was my first real, and also there was another film that was New Line called Critters, and which was also a horror film. So even Bob, I don't know, I've never really asked him that question. I don't think he was there to focus on horror films. It was stories that were brought to him that he thought were engaging and commercial. Gotcha. And I was lucky enough this was real nepotism. I mean, he gave me my first start in those films. And gratefully, I did a good enough job where those directors wanted to work with me again. And it was sort of a beginning calling card for me. I think you never know what's around the corner. And I was also and I still am, I'm a yes person. The first words out of my mouth, if someone's, "Do you want to?" I go, "Yeah." I didn't even hear what it was. Then I go, "What was it what else I'm going to be doing?" Gratefully, it has sort of blossomed into this beautiful world of fear and horror, which is I think a fabulous, there's a fabulous opportunity in films to explore what fear is. And Lord knows it's.
In our chat about that, there's a couple questions.
Oh, okay.
Right into what you're saying. First of all, Priscilla said, "Great performance as always."
Thank you.
Stephanie's a writer and a storyteller herself. Louisa says, "Were you ever actually scared? Like after going home after a shoot, were you scared or could you leave it behind?" And let's ask a second question. So one, are you ever scared when you leave there? Do you take it with you? And the second question Cherise has is, what do you do to get into character?
Okay. No, I'm never scared. There's other things that scare me, but that doesn't scare me, because when you're doing it, I mean, I enter places sometimes inside myself that are scary. actually in The Grudge, there is a scene, I believe it's in the in the DVD release, that it's not in the actual film, is, you know, you still got an hour and a half to make your movie. But it was I sort of have an attack. It's a woman who's trying to commit suicide, basically, and she takes pills that don't work. And so instead you can see her at this moment hoping she's going to die, but the pills are not working. And it was a pretty exhausting and powerful take that we did. And when Nicholas Pesh, the director, yelled cut, there really was that moment of everybody was holding their breath, kind of. And your body doesn't know you're pretending. So when you're having seizures, or you're pretending, or you're creating something physical, your body reacts emotionally to physicality. A wonderful teacher, Mark Rydell, from the Actors Studio, we used to say, you want to get angry? He said, just try to open a door the wrong way, and just try to open it as hard as you can, you know, as an exercise. And you wait and see what happens to you. And it's a really interesting exercise, because you start sweating and you get angry and you start kicking the effing door and yelling and all kinds of obscenities. And it's so at the end of this particular scene, I must say, we took a moment to breathe before I could redo the, you know, we could go forward. But I'm not scared. It's not scary. It's just, it's exhausting.
Well, the question then that
the other was
Zulima's question, actually,
to get into character.
What do you do sometimes to get into character? Because you play some pretty crazy out there characters.
Wardrobe and environment help a lot. I'm very much involved with things, the way things make me feel. Depending on what the scene is too, sometimes it's important to connect to your environment or to the other actors, and sometimes it's more important to connect to your own emotions, because sometimes the environment and the other actors will provide the emotional content, like they will help you get there, and other times you have to find it yourself. So it's always a little bit different, and there's no formula. I mean, I don't work with any kind of steps necessarily. If I'm lost, I ask the director what to do. Usually, I mean, but and
a good director at that point.
Really, but that rarely happens. I think the best thing that can happen for an actor is you surprise yourself. That's my favorite thing to have happen.
You and I did a reading of my play, The Bend.
We were just talking about that.
It surprised the hell out of me, and that was beautiful. And the best things did happen. There was passion and a connection between those characters that wasn't there ever before because of that. Patricia's in the house. Turko Ono has a question. Adnan's in the house. Welcome, guys. If you could wave a magic wand and get a wish, what part in what play or movie of all time would you choose?
Oh man, I don't think I have one. I'm not as schooled in the vocabulary of all those wonderful roles that are out there.
That may have not been done before, like a kind of, you know, Amelia Earhart, or, you know.
Oh, so like a fictitious person? Oh man, I don't really have one. I really, really don't. I don't, because I don't think about life like that. I mean, even if it was a biographical character, I was going to say biological, but that's different. But if it's but even if it's someone like Amelia Earhart, I mean, I'd probably do a lot of reading. You know, if it's a real person, it's partly your responsibility to know certain aspects of that person. But within that, it's still important to investigate your own imagination of what that might be. I don't want to ever mimic what I think someone else would do. I think it's more important to bring your perspective to what their dilemma or their life might be. So, but I don't really, you know, there's some, I mean, you know, someone like Golda Meir, I mean, that would be a phenomenal character to investigate.
Who's doing that story right now is Adam Kessler. You know Adam Kessler?
No, I don't. But
he wrote 2 or 3 seasons of The Sopranos. He created Blood.
I'd be a great, that would be a great character for me, because I don't resemble her, but I resemble her. There's
Well,
something.
I have to put you in touch with Adam because he did Bloodline and he did Damages, and now
Wow.
who knows, maybe I'm not even supposed to say this, but
Okay. We don't know. We didn't hear that. However, I'd love to meet him.
part says, I love how you developed your character in The Midnight Man.
Oh. That was a crazy experience. The whole thing was pretty crazy. The whole production was a fairly wild experience. You know, I really am, I hate to use this word, but I really kind of am a moment to moment character. I don't plan everything. I get an idea of how I want the scene to play, like what is the kernel of the scene that's going to support the story you're telling. It's very important as an actor, you're there also to serve the piece that you're creating. So to understand where you fit into the big story. So I think in The Midnight Man, that was something I really looked at, that this woman, you know, who's, she had a lot of attitude, which I didn't even know she had really. You know, she was sort of, even though everyone was saying how she was sort of had dementia or whatever, she had them all by the balls, basically. She ran the show. And once I felt that, I didn't really know that until I was feeling that within the scene. So it's kind of, again, you need to keep yourself open enough to surprise yourself, still come in obviously with you know, specific thoughts and ideas. Again, you're sort of supported by what's the wardrobe? What does the bed feel like? I'm very tactile. I'm a very tactile actress. I mean, what I'm wearing is important to me, the way things feel on me, and shoes are important. Are you barefoot? I just did a film, and there's a scene where I'm it's kind of this ranting scene, but it's at night, and I'm standing in a driveway, and it was freezing, and so they gave me some shoes. I said I want to be barefoot, and being barefoot made the scene happen for me. I don't even know why. So you're asking me tough questions, but
you're there. Well, our audience, a lot of people in our audience are actually actors. There are a lot of people that come from the VIP Talent Connect.
Awesome. Keep going.
I got to give a lot of love to VIP Talent Connect.
Yep.
Shout out Actor Trade. ActorTrade.com is an incredible app. And also Nuchas Empanadas. Nuchas is donating, next Saturday, they're donating 600 empanadas to emergency care workers in Mount Sinai Hospital.
Oh, so, fantastic. Thank you. That's real stuff. Yeah. Whoops.
All right, so here we go. Another one. What's this one? This one, I mean, look at it. It's even got a clean.
There I was 17.
Wow.
And it's my high school graduation picture. And I had long, very long hair. And I guess I put on eye makeup for the picture, which I never, unless they enhanced it without me knowing it. But that was, yeah, that's me at 17 years old, 16 and a half years old.
Oh, wait, boink, boink, boink.
Like, look at that. Look at that.
Tell us what this
that, my friends, is my new queen. Dottie Minter is in the new Penny Dreadful, which is starting on Showtime April 26th. Nathan Lane and myself play Nazi hunters in Los Angeles, 1938. It's the most incredible series. It's 10 episodes. I'm in 6 of the 10. I love this woman. That character really was created by hair, makeup, and wardrobe in many respects. And then John Logan, who is an extraordinary, he's a genius. I mean, that's the only way to describe him. He is truly a sublime artist, and he wrote and it's his show. I mean, he did the first 3 Penny Dreadfuls. This is not a sequel. This is an extension of what that show is. But Nathan Lane plays this incredible detective. He's funny, sad. It's one of the most beautiful stories I've ever been involved in. I'm so proud to be in this show. Please watch it.
When does it happen again?
It's Penny Dreadful, City of Angels, and it's on Showtime from, I think it's 9 Central, 10 LA times, whatever our time is called.
All right.
And Again, it's the first episode will be April 26th. I'm so excited about it.
We got a lot of action in our chat here. Naudia Cherry says, I love you.
I love you too then.
Jamie wants to know, at what age did you know you wanted to be in scary movies? And I don't know, you may have kind of answered that in sort of the evolution of your career. It wasn't really a thought you had, right?
True. I mean, I never really, again, I'm sort of ageless in that respect. I don't think about that. I just was always driven to tell stories, and it led me to theater, and then theater led me to film.
You get your training, because John Trefero in the chat just mentioned Uta Hagen, Moment to Moment, sensory.
Yep. Uta Hagen, Stella Adler, and Lee Strasberg were my three teachers.
Amazing.
And Uta she's the visceral one. It's all about, and I mean, her book, actually, Respect for Actors, is still one of the best acting texts you will ever read. It gives you a real specific physicality for how to create a character, and it works. I still use it, and that's about objects. That's about being tactile. Like what do you want to, what means something to you? What are, secrets? Having little actor secrets is also a beautiful thing. People don't know what you're thinking, but you've got, you've got a little toy bear in your pocket that means something to you, or whatever. Nothing is silly, by the way. None of that stuff is frivolous or silly. It really adds, if you believe in what you're doing, it gives you life as the character. Go for it.
Colin Peterson is in the chat and asks, so you let your emotions of the moment express in the scene rather than continuously going over the script and playing out the scene on your own time?
True. It's hard not to, there's different philosophies about learning lines and going over it, Lee Strasberg was not a proponent of acting out your lines when you read them, that you learn your lines just blank, just with no expression, and you let the life come when you're in the moment on set or on stage. I kind of do a little bit of both. I actually do plan how I want things to go, but sometimes to my own detriment, because then when you're on set, that's not what the director wants. All of a sudden he goes, no, I don't want it, nothing like that. So you're a little caught off guard, because you think, I got this, I figured this out and I know exactly how it's supposed to play out. And suddenly you have to change.
You have to fight what you put together, and
yeah.
The ball game is you're fighting something as opposed to just going into something.
Right. You have to really be able to let go of what you were thinking you wanted. In Penny Dreadful, I had a couple beautiful monologues that I did work really hard on, and lo and behold, that was not exactly what they wanted, and so I was pissed off. But it was like, I didn't tell them that, but. But I mean, I wasn't pissed off, but I was nervous, really, is what that was, which translated into being angry, because I thought, well, I had this the way it should, and then you just don't even just go. You need to let go. You need to be able to let go as much as you're able to hang on. So it's better to learn it's better to not come in so tight on what it is you think it should be.
This is a very common thing that I've learned and heard throughout, is learn those words like scales, and then you can start to see what they bring out of you, or what your director wants you to put on them. Right?
Totally. Just know the words, like there's no punctuation, even if you can.
All right, so Erica Farah says, can you tell us about working with Nathan Lane? He's such a genius, and I would expect him to also be naturally funny.
Both those things. All three of those things. I mean, I was so intimidated when I met him. I was like kind of speechless, and then I started talking too much. It was like where you get nervous. He is a real gentle man in every regard. He would have pages of dialogue. You'll see when you see the series. He's so wonderful in Penny Dreadful. It's a whole different kind of character and image than you've ever really seen him do. He's generous. He's very funny, very insightful, very private. And you know, you can jabber all you want basically, and he listens, but he's frugal in terms of giving up his energy, you know, for other things other than also the work. He had a huge responsibility in Penny Dreadful. The fact that we were kind of partners was a gift for me, and we didn't discuss too much at all. Whatever happened on set pretty much. And also television is different than film. And this is really the first series I've ever been a part of. And it's a different machine. And it is a machine. This one was the best of the best. I mean, the set was, the other actors are spectacular. Natalie Dormer, who's from Game of Thrones, is just spectacular in this. And these are very skilled, I shouldn't say television. These are very skilled actors who are also very smart and good at doing television, which they've done. I've done very little television. So I'm used to throwing in my, you know, my 2 cents and my ideas. And how about this line? And John Logan made it very clear. This is a writer's show. What he has written is what he meant to write. Please say what he wrote.
Gotcha.
End of story. That's it.
You're a great improviser and ad-libber though too. When we did The Bench as that stage reading, you brought so much to it that again I hadn't even heard. You started singing a song with the other actor and getting it going. It was great. Barbara,
I was just going to say I didn't do that in Penny Dreadful. I did what I was asked to do, and I hope I did it well. That's all.
Barbara Capisti's in the room. Thank you. Welcome, Barbara. Candy's just arrived. Barbara's a filmmaker. Priscilla said Jack Nicholson helped bring you to us to movies, and I'm not sure if that means anything to you or not.
Yeah, sure it does. It's a long story. Are you kind of ready? A little bit. I'll try and make it short.
Yeah.
I was in New York doing theater, and I had gotten fired from a play, which I was so devastated. I got a rash on my arm. It wasn't on my face, thank God. And I got fired because I looked too young for the role. Actually, it was to play Prossy in George Bernard Shaw's Candida against Eva Marie Saint. And she was in her 50s in real life, and I was in my 30s, but I looked like I was 12 years old on stage. I really did. And they just felt I looked too young, and I made her look older than she was supposed to look. So long story short, my agent calls and he said, so Jack Nicholson saw a picture of you somewhere, and they were just in New York, and they're doing this film called Going South. And I literally dropped the phone. I thought, oh my God, Jack Nicholson. And I said, so what did you do? What are you going to do? And they said, well, he went back to LA. They went back to Los Angeles, but we sent them your picture and resume. And I went, that's all you did was send them. So I went around my little apartment on Perry Street in New York. I literally was like looking for every picture I could find of myself. This is me with curly hair. This is me with straight hair. This is me with my hair back. This is me looking really young. And I made this little packet, and I wrote this note. And I remember I went to the card store because I wanted to send them a nice card. And it said Soothsayer on it. And the date was 7/7/77. I kid you not. And that's been a big number in my life, both good and bad. Gotcha. And I wrote this little note, and at the end, I was just about to put it all together, and I put, P.S. I plan to be in Los Angeles for a short visit in the next couple of weeks, which was totally a lie. And the next couple days they called from Marion Doherty's office, and they said, Jack would like to meet Lynn as soon as she's in Los Angeles. So I literally got on a plane the next morning and flew to LA. And Betty Buckley, who became she was a friend of mine in New York, and she was out in LA doing 8 is Enough. And she got me a room at the Chateau Marmont, and I didn't know anything. I got a big fever blister on my upper. I had like a basketball on my lip. And I just thought, well, if I put a lot of eye makeup on, maybe he won't notice. And literally the next morning, I went to Paramount with this giant fever blister and a lot of mascara. Walk in, there's Jack sitting with my resume picture, and he looks up and he says, what happened to your mouth? Those are the first words out of his mouth. And long story short, I got one line in Going South. I played the parasol lady.
We have a photo of you.
I have a photo. Yeah, it's a great, and it was with, I mean, incredible. It's Danny DeVito.
I'm going to speed through some of these photos. We'll come back to them.
Okay.
There
Do
it
you
is.
have one? Oh, that's Detroit Rock City.
Oh, that I don't have going south. Sorry.
Oh, I don't even know. But anyway, it was truly one of these moments in your life where you just go, I'm gonna go, and that's I mean, I'm grateful I have that in me. I mean, I don't go, well, if I go, I'm gonna, and then they're not, you can't be one of those people. If you love what you're doing and you get an opportunity, it's got to come sort of from the right place. But I mean, that came from my right place. It was just like, I got to go, I got to go. And there I was for 2 weeks in Durango with John Belushi, Danny DeVito, Jack Nicholson, Mary Steenburgen. It was her first film. And it changed my life. I mean, from there, I thought, this is really fun. I like this. And I got rid of all my stuff in Perry Street. And I moved to LA, and that was how I got here. So, and I've never seen him since, really.
Our chat room is heating up here. I'll just do some shout outs here. Diane Lieb says, sounds great. Can't wait to watch your Showtime show. You rock. I wish I had Showtime. Huge fan of horror and psychological films, says Nadia. Colin, best actors and actresses come from the stage. Katha Cato said, Katha says, based on when you mentioned the 3 acting teachers.
Right.
Oh my God, the triumvirate of virtuosity.
It's true. I mean, they really, I'm the luckiest person ever. Uta Hagen, especially for me, was huge. And Stella was great. It was crazy good. She was the one who taught me how to break down a script.
So going back to script, Zulima has a question, and I think somebody else had a similar one, which she says, did you say learn the lines without punctuation at all? And somebody else,
I mean, that's a technique that people tell you to use. I mean, Strasberg told you that was a very big thing that he really wanted from all of us. To understand it wasn't good to learn your lines with emotion. Learn the skeleton of it, and yeah, without punctuation. But now it's interesting. In Penny Dreadful, John Logan again, who was the writer. He wanted it to be, he didn't give you line readings, of course, but he wanted it, if it was a period, it was a period. It was the end of the sentence, because the intent of the line changes depending on punctuation. And if it's a writer's show, he wrote it with a period because he wanted that to be the end of the thought.
Yeah, and I think a lot of playwrights are more like that as well, too.
True. You don't improvise. You don't improvise Sam Shepard. You don't improvise.
And it's good to ask. It's good to ask ahead of time. Hey, are we going straight with this book, or can we improvise a little bit? And they'll tell you right off the bat.
True. But a good playwright, Lee Winnell, who wrote all the Insidious films, you wrote what Lee wrote because he's a great writer, and he wrote what he meant, and he meant what he wrote. So it's not about improv. And then there's other situations where, like you were saying, I bring my own thoughts to it, and people welcome that. And so it's good to know where you stand. But generally in television, it's writing. It's the writer.
You brought some of your own thoughts to the bench. That was fun. It made it work. Couple quick hellos in the chat. Wayne Simmons, what's up, Wayne? Good to see you. Evelyn Iacalano. Evelyn runs a brilliant organization in Hollywood called Lollipop Theater, where they screen first-run films to chronically and terminally ill children.
Wow.
You get out of the hospital to go see the films. She arranges all of that. Francesca Moore is in the room. She's a paisana. Nancy Lynch Hutchings, my cousin, is in the house. Justin's in the house. Judy Frost is in the house. We got good people in here. Let's go to a photograph, and let's play a little game here. So tell us. We're running low on time because we're going over, and that's okay. But tell me what we're seeing in this picture. Detroit Rock City.
And I'm burning the KISS tickets. And this is Adam Rifkin directed this, and this is one of my favorite characters ever, Mrs. Bruce, the uptight mom. And it sort of says what it is. Look at Sam Huntington. I'm burning his tickets. This is from a movie called The Signal. Um, oh gosh, Lawrence Fishburne is in it, and it's a wonderful, incredible film. If you've never seen it, find it. It's pardon?
Look like a politician in this picture.
No, she's a little bit crazy and lives in a I don't know how to put it, a repetitive world. It's a science fiction story.
Crazy? That's a stretch for you.
She's great. I love her. I love that character. Oh.
Everybody loves.
That's got a long story that you need another program for me to tell you about. I fought for that role. I found that wardrobe in a thrift store. She's described as the angriest, ugliest woman God ever let loose on the planet. And I tried to figure out everything I could with hair coming out of my nostrils and yellow teeth and
egg on your face too or something to tighten your skin or something like that.
Yeah, I did. But I used an egg white mask. This probably was latex because this was the movie. But my mom used to put egg white on her face to give herself, to make her skin tighter. But it was real scaly. I remember thinking, I want to look like that. So when I went to the audition, that was exactly how I went to the audition.
There's an iconic moment in here where you do this thing.
Yes, I do. I didn't even know what it meant.
Somebody suggested, you improvised it. How did that happen?
No, it was in the script.
It was? Oh, okay.
It was in the script. Every word in that was in the script. That was no improv. That was Pete Fairley's and Bobby Fairley's brilliant. You really jarred something loose, Tiger. I did not improvise that line.
That's Kingpin.
That's Kingpin.
Right. John Harris is in the room. Jay is in the room. Jay's also an actor who's a working actor. Katha Cato, by the way, in the chat room runs the Queens World Film Festival. So maybe we can connect you with her someday.
Awesome.
Tell us about this.
That's also Mrs. Bruce. God, look how young I am. It's crazy. Yeah. Talk about, anyway. That's also from Detroit Rock City. That was my Farrah Fawcett hairdo. Nice. And my little houndstooth coat. That is from There's Something About Mary, which I think Disney is going to be, something is happening with this. They're going to show this. That's Magda, and There's Something About Mary. Also, Magda and Mrs. Dumars are probably two of the most, and Mrs. Bruce, those three characters. I'm really proud of them all, and I feel very separate and yet united with all three of them. Yeah. And actually, Magda came about because of Mrs. Dumars, because of Kingpin. That was how I met Pete and Bobby, who did not want to see me for that role, and I really fought tooth and nail to get an audition, and literally went to the audition looking like that previous photo. And they made me audition for this too, though. They're tough. The Fairleys don't walk you through anything. You got to fight for what you want.
There's also another one where this was the words they wrote. There's not any improvising or much improvising. Did you hear me?
Oh, the words they wrote? Oh, no, that was all them. I had one line, I think, in Something About Mary that Pete loved, where it's where Matt Dillon says something about Kintanti, and I walk away and I turn back to him and I go, Kintanti, and I'm sort of flirting with him, and Pete loved it. So every once in a while you could throw one in,
What's this from?
That's from Nightmare on Elm Street. That was my first real movie with Wes Craven and the teacher. Great. And it was a really sweet, it's a really nice little role I had forgotten. Oh, and that brought me back into the world, really. Insidious was a big deal. And this was the premiere of Insidious 2. And good haircut. Good haircut, good earrings. It's all good.
Oh,
that's Magda again. With the puppy only talks to the neighbors. She listens in to the neighbors on the street. She's a great character. I love her.
And your toes there too.
Yeah, right. My toes with the cotton. I'm trying to remember the name of this. This never actually was released, I don't think. It was about two guys loaded on pot. I meant to. Chuck Perrello directed it. It was hilarious. She's this crazy doctor who's sort of. That's all I can remember really about her is these kids come in stoned and she's just crazy. This was a movie that I co-produced actually. That's still on Amazon Prime. Please watch it. It's one of my favorite characters I've ever created. And it's a terrific. It's like a little novella almost as much as it is a movie. I've never gotten reviews like that for anything I've ever done, and I mean that, anything. It's a fantastic performance for me to have been able to pull together, and I think you'll really like it. It's Amazon Prime. Anybody can watch it.
All right. Well, those are the photos that we have.
There's Dottie Minter. She's coming for you. Oh, look how it got dark.
We can see the LA sky behind you now.
See the LA sky behind me.
I've been to Lynn's house. It's incredible. She's got this pool and a little walking gardens, and it's Zen pathways. It's phenomenal.
Very beautiful. And look, and I like this though. Can we leave it dark? Is it okay? I can turn a light on.
Closing down anyway, so it's
okay. It's like we're getting slower and lower.
And just for those who see that little slant behind Lynn there, that's a pinball machine in her house there. That's a pinball machine. DeLorean and Williams just entered the chat room. We're going to finish up here. We've gone way over 10:30, but it's so worth it. We'll go to the chat room and see if there's any more questions before we go. Winnie Maria said she watched it last night. Tell us what it was that you watched. So did Candace. What was it?
Room for Rent?
I'm not sure. So Zulima wants to know, do you keep a lot of outfits and extra props and makeup so you're ready for these auditions?
Yes. I keep everything. Keep everything. You never know what you're going to need.
Let's see. Room for Rent. Wow, says John Trefero. And Jack Fuller says, it's an honor to be in Robert's house with a legend. Wisdom from the living life in the moment.
She's fading. She's getting rosier and rosier and rosier.
All right, so we're going to say goodbye to everybody.
Okay.
But give us that one more just so everybody knows. Oh, Winnie said Room for Rent. She watched it just the other night.
Thank you. Thanks for watching it.
Actress as well. Just saw her sing, and she's phenomenal as well. Everybody's thanking us. Thank you for all showing up. Please share this link. Share once it's up. Share this on Facebook. Let's get Lynn's opening night on Showtime coming up in a week or so. Let's make that big. So
not in the first episode, but you won't be disappointed. I mean, it's just exquisite. It's an exquisite series.
Mirko Ono says, thank you, Lynn. Kaylin says, it's been amazing listening to you. Thanks for your insight and info. Sherry says, thank you. Everybody's saying thank you, and I thank you too,
You're
Lynn.
welcome, and thank you. Thank you for coming. Let's hope that we get more toilet paper soon. Take care. Everybody stay safe and do follow the rules. Might as well follow the rules. You're actors. You can follow rules.
Rules were meant not to be broken. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Thanks. Let's do this again.
Okay, I'm in.
You got so much energy and stories to tell. It's wonderful. Really appreciate you being with us, Lynn.
Love you, Robert. He's the best. He's the bomb.